Thank you all so much for joining the Assembly Town Hall tonight. We'll just get the music paused and we'll start. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so welcome. My name is Safira. Just really wanting to share a very warm and loving welcome on behalf of the Assembly tonight. We really wanted to call this town hall this evening, just kind of seeing against the backdrop of navigating coronavirus and the loss of loved ones and friends to the health pandemic, the challenges of isolation that we're all navigating, economic challenge and financial challenges. We're now faced with this tidal wave of sorrow and outrage towards the deep-rooted racial and social injustice in our country and in our city, where we have demonstrations that have both been peaceful and also damaging, and now the imposition of this 8 p.m. citywide curfew, which is something that we haven't seen in our city in over 70 years. So in the context of this reality that we're all navigating right now and that the city is navigating right now, the Assembly called this town hall this evening. There is some guidance that the institution would like to convey. But before we get to that, I'd like to invite Shara to open with a prayer. And we thought we're so lucky to have our very own prayer for the City of the Covenant, that we would begin with the prayer for New York City and then offer a little bit more of a framing remarks and go into the guidance of the Assembly. So over to you, Shara.
Thanks, Safira. Bless thou, O King of Kings, the city of New York. Cause the friends there to be kind to one another. Purify their souls and make their hearts to be free and detached. Illumine the world of their consciousness. Exhilarate their spirits and bestow celestial power and confirmation upon them. Establish there a heavenly realm, so that the city of Bahá'í may prosper and New York be favored with blessings from the Abha kingdom. That this region may become like the all-highest paradise, may develop into a vineyard of God, and be transformed in a heavenly orchard and a spiritual rose garden. Abdul Baha.
Thank you so much, Shara. So friends, the Assembly for months now has held all of you in its prayers at every meeting. So really conveying on behalf of the institution, just really how much concern for the well-being of everybody, and how much it wanted to convey its personal love and a personal connection to the friends in the city right now, especially as we're facing these challenges together. And so, of course, as we usually do, the Assembly has written a letter, but because of the circumstances and because we're all in isolation, we decided to call this town hall tonight so that you can see and feel the admiration and support and the love of the institution, that this is a moment that we can all be together online and draw strength and inspiration from one another as a citywide community. And also that tonight we can close with some prayers, that we can draw on the power of divine assistance in prayer together and think of those, our loved ones, and offer prayers together for our city. So we're going to first hear guidance from the Assembly as an institution. And because this is guidance from the institution and not individual members of the Assembly, we will have our Assembly members read the letter that will be sent out to the community, so you'll be able to follow along on the screen. Tonight is just a half-hour town hall, so we're not going to have the opportunity to consult together, but you will hopefully all be aware that the Assembly is visiting each of the feast areas via these joint feasts. So tomorrow the Assembly will be meeting with the Upper East Side, the Upper West Side, Midtown West, and Lower Manhattan at 7 p.m. in a joint feast. So there'll be an opportunity there to consult further. On Saturday, the Assembly at 7 p.m. will be meeting with Staten Island, the Bronx, Washington Heights, Inwood, and Harlem. And so that will be a time where you can share questions with the Assembly, recommendations, share what's going on with you, with what we're experiencing right now. For the friends in Brooklyn and Queens who've already had their joint feasts, you're still welcome to share your thoughts and reflections with the institution, of course, via email, or if you would like to reach out and have a call with some of your Assembly members, you're very, very welcome to do so. And at this time where we feel it's important to feel connected and to be together, please feel welcome to turn to these channels of communication. And then after we hear from the Assembly, we will have some closing devotionals, a devotional program that has been very thoughtfully and lovingly prepared by the friends. So with that, I'm going to turn over to the members of the Assembly.
Dear friends, we are writing to you again at a time of turmoil and distress in our city and in our country. In the midst of an unprecedented health crisis, we are grieving once more over the killing of a Black man, George Floyd, by the police. As the National Spiritual Assembly reminds us in its letter for the upcoming feast, the quote, indignation and distress being felt in every quarter of America is, however, an outcome of more than just this one death. It is an expression of deep-rooted weariness and frustration with the fact that, despite the earnest struggle of generations to overcome it, racism remains a defining element of our society, unquote.
Like you, the Assembly feels the pain of racial prejudice in our community and the need for immediate action to heal and overcome this disease. Our beloved National Spiritual Assembly has once again stressed the need for us to turn to the guidance of the Universal House of Justice. We are asked yet again that we give urgent consideration to the compilation it shared on May 15th, 2020. We are assured that this guidance will help us to not only understand, but also apply Baha'u'llah's teachings about racial unity.
We know that many of the believers across the city, in neighborhood groups, as part of their devotional gatherings, and as individual initiatives, have already responded to the call of the National Spiritual Assembly. We encourage each of you to continue in these efforts and even expand them to include the vast resources and opportunities to educate ourselves on racism in America, such as the online courses offered by the Wilmette Institute and Bahá'í schools like Greenacre. This study will no doubt inform and inspire the action that must necessarily come with it.
We also know that the virulent diseases of racism so woven into the fabric of America's society and institutions will only be fully eradicated by the spiritual revolution unleashed by Baha'u'llah's revelation. While many people search in vain for clear actions to address the seemingly traceable racial problems facing our nation, we have the bounty of being given a plan by the Universal House of Justice, revolving around the three prongs of expansion, consolidation, social action, and engagement in the discourse of society. Through these lines of action, we apply the revelation to our reality and transform individuals, communities, and institutions so that the inequality that have so long divided us be dug out by the roots. Allow the spiritual reality of the oneness of humanity to no
In its May 9th letter, the Universal House of Justice makes clear our collective responsibility for this work. When society is in such difficulty and distress, the responsibility of the Baha'is to make a constructive contribution to human affairs becomes more pronounced. This is a moment when distinct but interrelated lines of action converge upon a single point. When the call to service rings aloud, the individual, the community, and the institutions of the faith, inseparable protagonists in the advancement of civilization, are in a position to demonstrate the distinctive features of the Baha'i way of life, characterized by increased maturity in the discharge of their responsibilities and in their relationships with each other.
No one is free from the urgent responsibility to act. For its part, the local spiritual assembly aims to do its utmost to respond to the Guardian's instructions that freedom from racial prejudice in any of its forms should, at such a time as this, when an increasingly large section of the human race is falling a victim to its devastating ferocity, be adopted as the watchword of the entire body of the American believers. It should be consistently demonstrated in every phase of their activity and life, whether in the Baha'i community or outside it, in public or in private, formally as well as informally, individually as well as in their official capacity as organized groups, committees, and assemblies. It should be deliberately cultivated through the various and everyday opportunities, no matter how insignificant, that present themselves, whether in their homes, their business offices, their schools and colleges, their social parties and recreation grounds, their Baha'i meetings, conferences, conventions, summer schools, and assemblies.
The Assembly is dedicating itself to a renewed focus on racial justice. It has committed itself to study the guidance and center racial justice in its current and future plans, which will be shared in future letters. As an immediate action, the Assembly is asking that the entire City of the Covenant join in daily devotions where every believer recites the prayer for the City of New York and the prayer for America every evening at the start of the curfew at 8 p.m. Both prayers are enclosed. What better time to draw on the power of the Master's supplication that our city be favored with blessings from the Abha kingdom, such that it may become like the all-highest paradise.
Tonight, June 4, we will share these two prayers during our time together. And each subsequent evening as we recite these prayers, whether individually with our families or as part of our ongoing devotional gatherings, we will, despite our physical separation, be knitting our hearts together across the City of the Covenant. Let these prayers sustain us, the spiritual descendants of the Dawnbreakers, for the intense efforts required of us in the coming year. As the Universal House of Justice foretells in its May 9th letter, there is no doubt whatsoever that for the endeavors of the Baha'i community, the months ahead will be consequential. Indeed, it could hardly be otherwise. This final year of the final plan, in a series spanning the final quarter of the opening century of the formative age, will seal the foundation upon which will rest the next series of global undertakings. It is the concluding act in a captivating drama whose end is yet unwritten. please know that you are constantly in the Assembly's prayers. And with that, friends, we will end with a beautiful devotional program, praying for our city, praying for the healing and relief of suffering, for those who are already severely impacted by the coronavirus, the economic impact, the safety of those who have been affected by the demonstrations in our city. Our Baha'i Center is safe, even though it is in a part of a city where there has been some damage. But also ultimately for those of us, all of us in a society which is reeling from racial prejudice every day. And as we work towards winning the goals of this final year of the final plan in this series. So I'll invite Nava to start us off with a closing devotional program. Thank you.
Oh hijo del hombre, conténtate conmigo y no busques a otro que te ayude, porque nadie, sino yo, podrá nunca bastarte, porque nadie, sino yo, podrá nunca bastarte. Oh, Son of Man, be thou content with me and seek no other helper, for none but me can ever suffice thee, for none but me can ever suffice thee.
O thou who art turning thy face towards God, close thine eyes to all things else, and open them to the realm of the all-glorious. Ask whatsoever thou wishest of him alone. Seek whatsoever thou seekest from him alone. With a look he granteth 100,000 hopes. With a glance he healeth 100,000 incurable ills. With a nod he layeth balm on every wound. With a glimpse he freeth the hearts from the shackles of grief. He doeth as he doeth, and what recourse have we? He carrieth out his will, he ordaineth what he pleaseth. Then better for thee to bow down thy head in submission and put thy trust in the all-merciful Lord.
Words of Abdul Baha to Dr. Zia Baghdudi, Chicago, June 10, 1921. These words were written days before America suffered one of its worst race riots of its history in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when whites attacked the prosperous Negro community known as Black and destroying millions of dollars in property. But no one was ever charged with any crime. Quote, there can be no doubt or question. When I was in America, I told the white and colored people that it was incumbent upon them to be united, or else there would be the shedding of blood. But indeed, there is a greater danger than only the shedding of blood. It is the destruction of America. The Americans are submerged in the sea of ignorance. They will regret it. But of what use will their regret be after the destruction of America? Will it be of any use then? End quote. And he continued, quote, I foretell things before they happen, and I write about them before they occur. The destruction of 2 or 3 houses is of no importance, but the importance lies in what is coming. For instance, heavy rains begin with drops before it pours, and the dancer starts with shaking the shoulder, then the whole body. Now is the time for the Americans to take up this matter and unite both the white and the colored races. Otherwise, hasten ye towards destruction. Hasten ye towards devastation, end quote. The Universal House of Justice offers these words of encouragement, quote, but it need not be so. However much such conditions are the outcome of history, they do not have to define the future. And again, the words of Abdul Baha, otherwise, hasten ye towards destruction, hasten ye towards devastation.
This is an excerpt from a poem called Why Is We Americans? But reality is an excerpt on television. Why is we Americans? Why is we Americans? Boodee-da, 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 boodoo-da. Bee dee 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 boo dee boo dee boo boo boo. What I want is me, for real. I want me and myself, and what that is what I be and what I see and feel, and who is me and the what it is and who it is and when it me is what it be. I'm gonna be here if I want, like I said, self-determination. But I ain't come from a foolish tribe. We wants the mule, the land. You can make it 300 years of blue chip stock in the entire operation. We want to be paid in a central bank, the average worker farmer wage for all those years we gave it free. Plus we want damages for all the killings and the fraud, the lynchings, the missing justice, the lies and frame-ups, the unwarranted jailings, the tar and featherings, the character and race assassinations, historical slander, ugly caricatures. For every Sambo, step and fetch it flick, we want to be paid. For every hurtful thing you did or said, for all the land you took, for all the rapes, all the Rosewoods and Black Wall Street you destroyed, all the miseducation, jobs lost, segregated shacks we lived in, the disease that ate and killed us, for all the mad police that drilled us, for all the music and dances you stole, the styles, the language, the hip clothes you copped, the careers you stopped. All these are suits, specific litigation as represent we, be like we, for reparations for damages paid to the Afro-American nation. Boodee-da, boodee-da, boodee-da. We want education for all of us and anyone else in the black belt hurt by slavery, for all the native peoples, even them poor white people you show all the time is funny, all them Abners and Daisy Mays, them Beverly Hillbillies who never got to know Beverly Hills, who never got to Harvard on their grandfather's wills. We want reparations for them, right on, for the Mexicans whose land you stole, for all of North Mexico, you call it Texas, Arizona, California, New Mexico, Colorado, all that, all that, all that, all that, be-dee-da, doo-doo. Ba, 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 doo, dee, doo. All that you got to give up. Autonomy and reparation to the Chicanos and the Native Americans whose soul you ripped out with their land. Give self-determination, regional autonomy. That's what Maui is asking, and they're going to do the same when they demand it like us again in their own exploited name. Yeah, the education, that's right. 200 years. We want a central stash, a central bank with democratically elected trustees and a board elected by us all to map out from the referendum we set up what we want to spend it on to build that Malcolm sense self-determination as self-reliance and self-respect and self-defense, the will of what the good Dr. Du Bois beat on. True self-consciousness, simply the psychology of freedom. Boo-dee-da, boo-dee-da, bee-dee-da, boo-dee-da, that ba-ba-ba, boo-dee-boo-dee, boo-boo-boo. Then we can talk about being American. Then we can listen. Then we can listen without the undercurrent of desire to first set your ass on fire. We will only talk of voluntary unity, of autonomy as vective arms of self-determination if there is democracy in you. That is where it will be shown. This is the only way we as Americans, This is the only truth that can be told. Otherwise, there is no future between us but war, and we as rather lovers and singers and dancers and poets and drummers and actors and runners and elegant heartbeats of the sun's flame. But we is also at the end of our silence and sit down. We is at the end of being under your ignorant smell, your intentional hell. Either give us our lives or plan to forfeit your own.
Ô mon Dieu, unis les cœurs de tes serviteurs, révèle-leur ton grand dessein. Puissent-ils suivre tes commandements et se conformer à ta loi. Aide-les, ô Dieu, dans leur effort et donne-leur la force de te servir. Ne les laisse pas à eux-mêmes, mais guide leur pas à la lumière de ta connaissance et réjouis leur cœur par ton amour. En vérité, tu es leur aide et leur Seigneur. Bahá'u'lláh.
And now I give you a commandment, which shall be for a covenant between you and me, that ye have faith. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you to our readers and for the design of that devotional gathering. A recording of this town hall will be shared with everybody. So I know we were at max capacity tonight with 100 friends on the call, but this will be shared, the recording and the letter will be shared, and we look forward to hearing from each of you in the coming days and weeks. Thank you so much.
So folks who are still on, we would like to say the prayer for America, which is one of the 2 prayers we're going to all say every night at 8 p.m. So this is a faith in which we learn. Would someone like to say the prayer for America?
Yes, we can say it. Please, thank you, Jan.
Okay.
Thank you.
O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favors and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee through thy bounty and bestowal. Abdul Baha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Everyone, good night. Bye.
Bye. Aloha.
Bye-bye.
Aloha. Bye-bye, everybody.
Aloha.
Thank you.
So good to see you all. Oh my gosh.
Aloha.
Same here.
I miss
Bye.
you.
See you too.
Beautiful and radiant faces.
Yes.